Hey guys, just a quick announcement before this video begins. First things first, please be sure you're following the You Need a Candles Instagram page. You'll get post information on what the scents smell like and etc. But this Sunday at 6 p.m. our first Christmas line is dropping. Of course, we've got the Silent Night, Deadly Night melt. We've also got the Gremlins melt. And we're doing a few non-horror for the first time. We've got Ginger all the way. And of course, my favorite Christmas movie, Christmas Vacation. But don't you worry, because the Black Christmas wax melt is here. And last but certainly not least, the Krampus wax melt. This Sunday, 6 p.m., youneedacandles.com. Hey, what's going on, guys? I want to first and foremost apologize about the massive delay, but I'm going to make it up to you. Today is part 3 of the story of Freddy vs. Jason, and be ready because this is a wild chapter all about Rob Bottin's jump in and out of Freddy vs. Jason. But to make it up for you, I'm going to promise you that Freddy vs. Jason, the story part 4, will be coming extremely soon, meaning as soon as I finish this video, I'm going to work on the next one because the delay was ridiculous and I apologize. So if you need a refresher course, I totally understand. Please go back and rewatch part 2. But to basically cap off where we were, New Line, sick of waiting and the arguments between Sean Cunningham and Mike DeLuca with New Line as the company, they just said, screw it, we're getting a director, we're getting this thing going. Enter Rob Bottin, where Rob did not like the pitch that previously slated for the film, so he decided to bring on 2 writers. New Line, being afraid of losing Rob because they just publicly announced this is our new director, decided, okay, let's let him get the 2 writers he wants. So here it is, part 3 of the story of Freddy vs. Jason. So the Goyer-Robinson draft is the one that Rob Bottin himself had 2 writers do for his idea for the film. And the interesting thing is, to this very day, this is the most elusive script. Only people on the inside really know what the script truly entails, but it is known that this is supposed to be one of the darkest scripts for Freddy vs. Jason ever. Here's some of the stuff that we do know. This script establishes that Freddy and Jason are both fictional and real characters at the same time. Weird, right? With the ending of the film revealing how all of that was going to be possible. This story focuses on a group going to Crystal Lake to party. They're using a new drug that induces group dreaming. This group dreaming thing. This isn't the first time we've heard about this, and I would bet money this is not going to be the last time we hear about this group dreaming thing. One of our teenagers named Samantha had psychic powers, and she actually helped the police find a Freddy Krueger copycat killer named Dominic Necros. Interesting name for a human being, right? Her boyfriend's name is, get this, Jason. When the fugitive Dominic Necros breaks out of jail, he heads to Crystal Lake to exact revenge on Samantha and her friends. She is confused at this point at what's reality and what's fiction because of the drugs she's taking. They were told on the bottle of these pills, do not mix with alcohol. Take a wild guess what these kids do. They get wasted while taking this medicine. So as the film's progressing, we know that there's this big question as to what's real and what's fake during this whole time, which for an audience member, I can already tell you, I hate to inject my own opinions so far, sounds annoying. We always want to know what the hell is really going on all the time, so to be totally confused where not even the characters know seems like a bit of a wishy-washy way to do a film. Is this really Freddy? Is this really Jason? Are they truly attacking her and her friends? Final reveal of the film would show that this was all being induced from the drug side effects. The biggest gripe that New Line had from previous scripts was overcomplication, in essence involving the apocalypse into the film, and the new millennium, which we talked about previously. A lot of these scripts were all about using the new millennium as a way to engineer Freddy vs. Jason coming together. So these 2 writers, Goyer-Robinson, did not use that at all in this script. They kept away from the millennium stuff, which quite frankly, Even though it's not in here, it already seems pretty convoluted. The one interesting thing about this script that was not done in the rest is that in this draft for the movie, Freddy was simply just going to be Freddy. He didn't have a plan. He wasn't trying to exact some super revenge. He was just being the maniacal dream killer himself, which is simple, and in that essence, I'll give him a little bit of credit, because I think going that approach is basically the way you really need to go at the end of the day with Freddy. Let him be the dream demon. So here's where things get really interesting. For the very first time in history, New Line and Cunningham Productions were all in agreement that they both hated this script. Yeah, I bet you thought maybe I was going to say they both liked it. I was just as surprised as you. Considering the fact that Sean liked previous scripts where New Line didn't, where really none of them were really that great, and where New Line liked some scripts where Sean hated it, the fact that both of them read this and they all say, "This is terrible," they finally agree on something, but in this instance, the first time they all agree is when they both say, "This sucks." Remember, New Line went out of their way to publicize Rob Bottin to come into this picture. He did not like the draft that was presented to him. He gets 2 writers to pen a treatment for himself that he gave them the blueprint for. New Line reads it, Sean reads it, and they all say, "This is terrible." So New Line jumping the gun presumably bit them in the ass. It gets even worse. To make matters worse, Rob Bottin himself, who hired the writers, didn't like it. Sean submitted 0 notes on this draft. It was found so dead on arrival that Sean and New Line both just put a big X mark on the front of the script. It wasn't a situation where they had a blueprint that they said, okay, this works, but we should fix this, or this works, we should fix this. They all just rejected the script. Rejected it. They didn't want anything to do with it. To make matters even worse, Rob Bottin and New Line started arguing about the budget for the film, which at this point now has 0 script. Rob had grandiose, big visions of special effects that he wanted to do, stuff that was not only going to be revolutionary for his own portfolio, but during the time, he was really looking to push the boundaries with practical and CGI and do things that, in the book, made it sound like they were going to be astronomically expensive. Bottin's vision was going to have an effects budget alone that would have cost more than Jason Goes to Hell altogether. And at this time, New Line was subverting prior costs away from the film's running budget. Basically, all the money that they were losing from buying scripts, paying to get scripts rewritten, they were trying to deduct that price from the budget of the film that we're at now. Now it's like, I can see why this film took so long. It's 1 step forward and 10 steps back. So to recap 1997, this is how we go. We would start with almost a green light on a previous draft, hiring Rob Bottin, having a script that everyone hated, even Rob, New Line arguing and dwindling the budget. One side note is that David Goyer was dating New Line executive Stokely Chafin, who came back in at the 11th hour to give notes on the final script right before production began. And another side note is, a New Line executive was interviewed in this book and stated Peter Jackson himself even wrote a script for Freddy vs. Jason. God knows I would love to read that. Brian Ritten, who is an executive, claimed this. At the end of the Rob Bottin debacle, Rob claimed Steven Spielberg really talked him out of working on Freddy vs. Jason for his directorial debut. In essence, Rob said that Steven Spielberg basically had a conversation with him saying, do you really want that to be your debut film? A crossover horror movie film? Probably not the best idea for you. Right after Rob Bottin exited the picture, Sean Cunningham suggested putting in this director named Jim Isaac to direct Freddy vs. Jason, because Sean saw some of the work that Jim did and got along with him really great and said this guy would be great to direct a Friday the 13th Nightmare on Elm Street crossover film. Rest in peace, Jim Isaac. We all love you, man. But New Line heard the pitch that Jim Isaac had for Freddy vs. Jason and sent him packing. One of the cool things, though, that Rob Bottin supposedly was doing, and this was from one of the executives who was interviewed, Brian Ritten, he said that the costume designs that Rob Bottin was making for the looks of Freddy vs. Jason would have had fans going crazy. So we're going to cap off 1997 right there, guys, with the story of Rob Bottin's entrance and exit for Freddy vs. Jason. So to conceive where we've gone from 1993-ish to 1997, we have taken small steps forward with this film and deadly steps back. So we wonder now, why did it take 10 years? It wasn't for lack of trying. It's hands in the pie, good ideas, but not great ideas, getting anxious and sick of waiting, hiring a director, and then realizing that director has his own thoughts and opinions on things. And then when a draft is submitted, not only does New Line hate it, not only does Sean hate it, Rob Bottin, the guy who picked the writers, hated that pitch. How does that happen, you ask? I have no effing clue. But this is the story of Freddy vs. Jason Part 3. The next couple years, 1998, 99, are going to get very interesting, and I'm sure we'll be talking about Jason X. So thank you for enjoying Freddy vs. Jason Part 3. So sorry about the long wait, but get ready, Part 4 is coming. We're going to finish this story sooner rather than later. My name's Christian, you're watching Planet CHH. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you to all my supporters on Patreon. To get behind-the-scenes photos, videos, and music, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month.